So while residencies are great for artists, they can feel kind of unfair to fans. And honestly, if fans are the ones making that extra effort and spending more money, the least artists could do is lower ticket prices.
Me personally, I would love to do a residency, but I don't think it's for me. I think that touring is supposed to be really difficult on some level.
Hey guys, it's Hannah Gelbart here, and this is What in the World from the BBC World Service. Now, some of the biggest artists in the world, like Bad Bunny, Shakira, Harry Styles, Ariana Grande, they've been stepping away from huge world tours and choosing to perform in just one venue instead. They're doing more residencies. And I just got back from Latin America, where Bad Bunny was playing absolutely everywhere. And you probably remember he had a sellout residency in Puerto Rico last year. And it brought in tens of thousands of tourists, as well as hundreds of millions of dollars for the local economy. Now we're seeing more artists doing the same. So what's behind this trend? Is it just that touring can be pretty exhausting, or is there something bigger going on in the music industry? So we're going to get into this now with Molly Perella, who's a BBC reporter and is here with me in the studio. Hey Molly, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So we have been talking about some of the big artists doing this right now, residencies instead of world tours. What do you think are some of the main reasons behind this trend?
I think there's a few different reasons. I think one of the big ones, though, is that it is just easier for the artist in many different ways. They don't have to travel through loads of different time zones and get on a plane all the time and pack their show down just to get it all out again.
Yeah.
If you can imagine all the stuff they have to take with them and all the people as well. And it really takes its toll, I think. People like Harry Styles he's been on tour constantly since he was a teenager in One Direction. So for him now in his adulthood, he's done that. It's kind of something a little bit different. Artists can really, personalise their show, make it their own, and just try something new. It doesn't mean it's forever. He said it's not like he'll never go on tour again. It's just something a little bit different for the team that are putting on the show, but also for fans as well.
And presumably they might even perform better if they're better rested, if their voice, in the case of someone who's singing, isn't constantly under the strain of all of that movement. But there are lots of artists who'll do multiple nights in one venue as part of a world tour. So how many days does it have to be to count as a residency? What's the real difference here?
Well, I think what's quite interesting is the difference in the amount of days people do. So Harry Styles, for example, is doing 12 nights at Wembley in London in June. And then he's doing 30 at Madison Square Garden in New York. Beyonce did 6 nights in London when she did her Cowboy Carter tour at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but then 3 nights in Paris. So it kind of is different all the time. Celine Dion as well is doing 16 nights in Paris as her residency. I don't think it's the amount of days they're doing at each venue, it's the amount of places they are taking the tour to. So that is kind of the difference between the residency and the world tour.
But it's not that new of a thing, is it? Residencies have been around for ages, and the Beatles did residencies.
No, we've seen, for years, big artists like Adele, Britney, they've all done residencies in Vegas. So it's not necessarily a new concept. It's just something that artists, might choose to do right now instead of a world tour. If they've done loads of world tours before, they might just want to do something a little bit more intimate and a little bit more personal for fans.
And you can see why. I mean, you've talked about some of the reasons and how it can benefit the artists themselves and their teams. And I know you were at the Brit Awards recently and you actually got to meet and speak to some artists about this.
Yeah, and they all had really interesting ideas and kind of different takes on it. A few people were kind of talking about the difference in the artists, so it kind of depends on how sort of big they are or established. Harry Styles, like we said, he's been around for a long time. Maybe he can sort of afford to do that, whereas smaller artists might need the they might need to be seen by the fans more, a little bit, exactly, by a new crowd. So, for example, we spoke to Jade about it, and this is what she said.
For an artist, doing a residency is probably just healthier for your body and your voice and your mind, to not be travelling all the time. But I personally really love touring and travelling and seeing different fans.
We also spoke to Wet Leg, who had a really interesting take.
For the artist, I can only think of pros, but obviously cons are if you're the audience and you want to see a band and you can't necessarily travel like that's the con. You're not reaching as big of audience.
And we spoke to Seema about it too.
Difference between touring and residency is probably your mental health. Me personally, I would love to do a residency, but I don't think it's for me. I think that touring is supposed to be really difficult on some level. They should make parts of it easier and healthier, and there should definitely be longer breaks and stuff in between shows, and I fight with people every day over that kind of thing. But I do think you have to bring stuff to people. There's something about learning how to play in front of different audiences and not just a home crowd and not just a kind crowd. Like, you know, I play in Dublin, it's like playing in my bedroom. I play somewhere like Sweden, I feel like I'm playing with someone pointing a gun at my head. Like, they do not respond unless you're really good. And learning the differences between that makes creativity a bit more fertile. You gotta suffer.
What about for fans? Does it mean that fans might miss out if their favourite artist isn't touring near them?
It can be really expensive, so I think it can exclude some people, yeah, and otherwise people might turn it into sort of like a weekend away, or maybe a touring will become more of like a wider experience, and you're going to that place not just for the music, but you're using it as an excuse for a little holiday as well. But ultimately, not everyone can afford that. So yeah. I think, that we will see, fewer people being able to go, or they might have to, go and leave early, which then, they might feel shortchanged in that sense.
And Molly, we have actually been hearing from some fans from around the world about what they think of some of the big residencies that are coming up soon.
My name's Elena Kilgore. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and I love Harry Styles. Obviously, in an ideal world, Harry would tour and stop at every city in the world so that we could all see him. But realistically, touring is hard. And if that means that Harry's going to be able to tour longer and more over a sustainable career that feels better to him mentally, then I'll see you in New York, baby.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I'm from Milan, Italy. As a Harry Styles fan, I have mixed feelings about artist residencies. Staying in one city makes touring more sustainable, it reduces costs, it avoids constant travel, and allows artists to create bigger, more immersive shows. But at the same time, I feel like this model shifts all the pressure onto fans. So while residencies are great for artists and production, they can feel kind of unfair to fans. And honestly, if fans are the ones making that extra effort and spending more money, the least artists could do is lower ticket prices.
Presumably, if artists don't have to dismantle their entire stage and transport their crew and all of their equipment every single day or couple of days as part of a world tour, they can actually save money in these residencies. And could those savings be passed on to fans in ticket prices?
I think so, but ultimately things are still expensive. A residency might be making an artist a bit more money than maybe a tour because they have to pay less to travel around because they're doing that less. But really, they need to still put on a show. They need to fill the stadium. They need to make it like a show that people want to go to. So they have to spend money on it. And ultimately, that is still expensive.
And what about the impact of residencies on the climate? Presumably, they're better than world tours because you don't have to transport all of that equipment, all those people. But do they actually keep audiences more local, or do people travel internationally to residencies too?
I think a lot of fans will, we hear a lot about people who would do anything to go and see their favourite artist. So people will, I think, still travel. But I do think it would, residencies have less of an impact on the environment because the crew, the artists, they're not flying around all the time to multiple different countries in a couple, in the space of a few weeks. They're not lugging all their kit, and those that's multiple flights. It's not just the artist getting on one plane, is it? It's the crew, it's all the gear, everything that's going with them. So ultimately, I think, playing in one place has less of an impact because there's less travel.
So with all of this, do you think that residencies are going to become the new world tour? They're actually going to replace them? Are we going to see a lot more of them?
I think we'll definitely see more of them. I think it does depend on the artist. But I think artists will consider them as they see other people doing it as well. I think that has a bit of a knock-on effect. Harry Styles recently said on a podcast that, it's not forever that he's, going to do a residency. I guess it spices it up a little bit for everyone, for fans, for the artists that just want to do something a little bit different. I don't think it's the end of the world tour, though.
I'm glad to hear that. Molly, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Just before I go, I want to shout out some of the comments that you guys have been leaving us on YouTube. So this is from Alessandro, and it was on our episode on how AI is being used to communicate with animals. And he said that when AI is used to improve understandings like these, it can grasp how animals are feeling and what they are asking for, which is incredible. You can get in touch with us anytime. You can leave us a comment right here on our YouTube channel or on Instagram, which is at BBC What in the World. I'm Hannah. This is What in the World from the BBC World Service, and we'll see you next time.